Stick with me for just a moment. What I'm about to reveal will completely transform the way you approach any argument. These are game-changing techniques that will give you the upper hand every time, and trust me, you won't want to miss out on this. This is a very special episode today because we're going to teach you something that is applicable in every single aspect of your life. It is something that you can use from the first day until the last day. The topic for today's episode is defeat your opponent. Proven techniques to win arguments every time. This is not about winning arguments for the sake of winning. It's about being able to defend yourself when needed. So, let's get right into it. Number 1, learn how to argue. There are 2 ways to argue. One is aggressive, the other one is passive. Both are bad. We do not recommend either one of them. In order to win an argument, you need to learn how to control the narrative. And in order to do that, you need to know what you're talking about. But even more important than that, you need to know how to make others see things from your perspective. A good argument is based on logic, reasoning, and facts. If you want to be a great debater, then you need to master this. It's not about being loud or annoying, it's about being persuasive. This skill can be learned with practice. You don't have to be a lawyer to learn how to argue well. Just like anything else, if you put in the time and effort, you can improve your debating skills. There are many resources available to help you learn how to argue effectively. Books, courses, and YouTube videos are all great places to start. Once you've learned the basics, all that's left to do is practice, practice, practice. So go out there and learn how to argue like a pro. Number 2, choose your battles wisely. Not every argument is worth fighting. It's important to know when to walk away from a losing battle. You can't win them all. Sometimes it's just better to agree to disagree. This is a very mature approach, and it will save you a lot of time and energy. Ask yourself this question before getting into any argument. Is this really worth my time? If the answer is no, then just walk away. Don't even engage in the discussion. There's no point in arguing over something that is not important. When you choose your battles wisely, you will find yourself winning more often. This doesn't mean that you should avoid arguments altogether. It just means that you should be selective about the ones you choose to fight. By all means, you should defend yourself. However, sometimes it's better to walk away and let the other person have their own opinion. Ultimately, it's your decision whether or not to argue. Weigh the pros and cons carefully before making a decision. If you decide to argue, go in with a clear head and a solid plan. If you decide to walk away, do so gracefully. Either way, you will be able to live with your decision. Number 3, know your audience. Who are you trying to persuade? What are their beliefs and values? Knowing your audience will help you tailor your argument to their specific needs. For example, you would not argue for gun control in front of the National Rifle Association. Similarly, you wouldn't argue for abortion rights in front of a group of religious conservatives. You need to know who you're talking to in order to effectively persuade them. Otherwise, you'll just be wasting your breath. Before engaging in an argument, take some time to consider who you're dealing with. What are their beliefs and values? What are their arguments likely to be? Once you have a good understanding of your audience, you can tailor your argument accordingly. You'll be much more likely to win over your opponent if you can speak to them in their own language. So, take the time to learn about your audience. It will be well worth it. Number 4, be clear and concise. Nobody wants to listen to a long, rambling argument. Make your points quickly and confidently, and then stop talking. This will give your opponent time to think about what you said and hopefully come around to your way of thinking. But also, this will allow you to listen to what they have to say as well. If you talk too much, nobody will listen. If you talk too little, nobody will understand. Find a nice middle ground where you're able to clearly articulate your thoughts while still allowing for pauses and questions. People are more likely to agree with someone they like, and you'll be more likable if you're clear and concise in your arguments. So, practice making your points quickly and confidently. Then stop talking. Let your opponent respond, and you'll be on your way to winning more arguments. Number 5, use facts and logic. This is the most important part of any argument. If you want to win, you need to be able to back up your claims with evidence. This could be in the form of statistics, expert opinions, or simply common sense. Whatever it is, make sure you have a strong foundation to support your argument. The more logical and rational your argument is, the more likely it is to persuade your opponent. On the other hand, if your argument is based on emotions or personal opinions, it's much less likely to be effective. So, make sure you have your facts straight before you start arguing. Also, keep in mind that not everyone is rational. Some people will argue just for the sake of arguing. Others may have biases that prevent them from seeing your side of the story. But even in these cases, it's important to try to appeal to logic and reason. You may not change their minds, but you'll at least know that you made a good faith effort. Number 6, don't be afraid to disagree. This is a difficult one for many people, but it's important to remember that you don't always have to agree with others. Disagreement is okay. In fact, it can be healthy for both parties involved. Disagreement can lead to new ideas and perspectives. It can also help us to better understand our own beliefs. Of course, disagreement should not be done in a disrespectful or argumentative way, but there is a big difference between respectfully disagreeing and being agreeable, and the latter can often lead to resentment and frustration. So don't be afraid to disagree. It's okay to have different opinions. In fact, it's to be expected. The important thing is how you disagree. Do it respectfully and with the goal of finding common ground. Number 7, know when to walk away. This is perhaps the most important tip of all. Sometimes it's simply not worth trying to win an argument. If the other person is not open to listening, or if the topic is likely to cause a lot of pain or anger, it's best to walk away. There is no shame in admitting that you're not going to be able to persuade someone, and by walking away, you'll save yourself a lot of time and energy. You can use this energy to focus on more productive endeavors. There are many situations in life where it's important to know when to walk away from an argument. For example, if you're trying to negotiate a business deal and the other party is not willing to budge on an important point, it may be best to walk away. The same is true in personal relationships. If you're in an argument with a friend or family member and it's becoming heated, it's probably best to walk away and come back to it later when everyone has cooled down. Ultimately, knowing when to walk away is a valuable life skill that can save you from many arguments. Number 8, practice active listening. Most people think that active listening is just about hearing what the other person is saying. However, it is much more than that. Active listening involves paying attention to both the verbal and nonverbal cues that the other person is giving. It also involves trying to understand their perspective and where they're coming from. When you practice active listening, you're showing the other person that you respect them and value their opinion. This alone can make them more likely to listen to what you have to say. Active listening is essential for winning arguments. If you want to win an argument, you need to be able to see things from your opponent's point of view. You also need to understand their arguments and where they're coming from. Only then can you develop an effective strategy for winning them over. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. If you'd like to learn more about how to be a great debater, we highly recommend checking out our video on the 8 psychological tactics that make you more persuasive. Until next time, thanks for watching.